Hello, everyone. My name is Timothy Thompson-Cook, and I just want to thank you for tuning in again. I made a promise to you recently that I would be sharing with you stories on leadership, and hopefully you'd be able to find something in those leadership lessons, I'd like to call them, that may benefit you in the long run or might benefit your team. With that said, let me jump into a short story about one of the first leadership lessons I learned, and it happened when I was 17 years old. In fact, I'm wearing this hat, it says US Navy Corpsman. At the time, I wasn't a corpsman yet. I was actually a recruit in boot camp. And it hadn't been a week into our boot camp journey when I went from being a recruit to being the second in command in our company of about 81 men. And so in short order, probably within another week, I was promoted to what's called the RPOC, which is the Recruit Chief Petty Officer in charge. I was still 17. And so the lessons that I learned along the way came in very interesting circumstances. So let me start off by first telling you, in boot camp, things are kind of tough. And as a 17-year-old, I was not looking for a job or a leadership opportunity. I was just trying to do as my recruiter instructed me to do, which was keep my head down, my eyes forward, and stay out of trouble. And that's all I was trying to do. But for some reason, my company commanders felt this guy is the guy, and they promoted me to assistant. And then all of a sudden I was in charge. So let me get into my first leadership lesson. And watching leaders lead, oftentimes what we do is we model the behaviors we see. And so there's a lot of yelling and screaming in boot camp. Quite honestly, it was something that we saw every morning, first thing in the morning before sunup, till the time we went to bed each day. And so that was what I saw as leadership: lots of yelling, lots of do what I tell you to do or else kind of situations. But when I became the RPOC, or the Recruit Chief Petty Officer in charge, I started using the same techniques that I'd seen. So I thought it was the right thing to do, until one day my company commander overheard me yelling at the men, or barking at the men. And he called me into his office and he said to me, "RPOC, what's going on?" And I said, "Sir, yes, sir. I'm not sure what do you mean by that?" He said, "Why are you yelling at the men? Why are you yelling at them like that?" And I was 17. I didn't know what to say to this guy. I said, "Sir, because that's what you and the other company commander do to us." So I thought that was how I was supposed to lead the men, to get them to do what I needed them to do. And here it comes, the leadership lesson that he taught me, which was strange to hear coming from him. But he said, "RPOC, you don't need to yell at the men to get them to do what you need them to do. You need to demonstrate that you respect them, and you need to encourage them to work harder and do their best." I thought, well, that's interesting, because that's not what he's been doing to us. But in any case, here's the lesson again. It's in a nutshell. Fear, intimidation, and threats are not leadership. They're actually just fear, intimidation, and threats. And in fact, they're inappropriate if you're in a leadership role. It's not appropriate for you to be yelling at your staff. And I'm not calling people out. I'm just trying to let you use your own self-awareness here, folks, and figure out if you fall into this lesson of fear, intimidation, and threat not being a leadership strategy or technique. And I'd like to ask you, quite honestly, if that's what you're doing, please stop as soon as you can and consider other alternatives. As this company commander told me, he said that the way to lead the men was to respect them and demonstrate that respect and encourage them to do their best all the time. And that was pretty much what we did. And what I did going forward, and fortunately for me, it paid off. I was still 17, but I had my 18th birthday by the end of it all. And they actually not only performed better after that discussion with my company commander, but they also they selected me as their honor man, which was the most humbling experience I'd ever had at now 18 years old, to have a bunch of men who I respected tremendously. I looked up to them because they were, in most cases, older than me. And in fact, I felt they were, in many cases, more talented than I was. But for some reason, they selected me as their honor man. Go figure. I still didn't quite understand that until maybe the end. My company commander said, "You were the best leader they could have ever had." I'm like, whoa, all this was overwhelming, blew me away. I, in fact, nominated 2 other guys to be the honor man, but they picked me. So I share this lesson, the leadership lesson, with you guys. I hope you get something from it. I don't want to go on and make this more long-winded than it already has been. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back as soon as possible with another leadership lesson to share with you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Bye, everyone.